Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome back to Open Mic. If you're just watching this now, we had a little bit of a foobar earlier where we had some audio issues with audio stuff going out of sync and everything. Hopefully that won't happen again and we can actually get into it and do a show. Here, I'm going to find out right now if it's actually working or not. Let me check. Mike, if you're just watching... Yes, it's actually working now. Yay! And we can get on with the show. So without any further ado, listen, guys, this is a show where it's just, we do it every afternoon, Monday through Friday, where we just talk whatever about you guys want to talk about. There's no agenda. There's no schedule. It's just we talk about whatever it is you guys want to talk about. Now, I got a couple questions I got to get to that came up earlier. One of them I'm going to answer again because it was on and it was a part of the show earlier. The first question that came in earlier today was, which Disney film do I think will do better? Frozen 2 or the new Lion King being directed by Jon Favreau? And to me, no questions asked, it's going to be the Lion King. Look, Frozen is, I'm not like a lot of other people. A lot of other people I know are on the whole Frozen hate train. And that's fine. That's cool. Nothing wrong with that. I liked Frozen. I did. I saw it. And when I did, this was before it became $1 billion film. But I saw it and I was like, wow, this is pretty good. I liked it. Now, I know it gets annoying when you see every single little girl out in the street dressed like Elsa or whatever the name of the princess is. But I thought it was pretty good. But it was a perfect storm. No pun intended. It was a perfect storm of things. So I don't believe we're going to see Frozen 2 be another $1 billion film. It'll be a huge hit. It'll do great. But I don't think that. Lion King, on the other hand, Lion King is, in my opinion, the greatest animated movie ever made. And you may not have that opinion, that's fine. But I think it's the greatest animated film ever made. It is one of the most beloved films of all time. Huge name recognition. You snowball that with what a huge hit The Jungle Book was. And doing, a Lion King in the style of The Jungle Book. I mean, I honestly believe the potential for a Lion King is like 1.2 to 1.4 billion. I think I'm not saying it's going to get to that, but I think that is the potential. That's its ceiling is pretty high. And now, if the reviews come out and the word of mouth is great and the reviews are great, it could just, I'm telling you, 1.3, 1.4 billion could be possible. So I'm going to go in the question between what's going to make more money, Frozen 2 or Lion King. I'm going to go with the Lion King one on that. All right, the next one up we've got here came to us from Koba. And Koba wrote, save one, destroy one. The 4 Christopher Reeve Superman films or the Jaws 4 films. My answer might surprise you. I would save the Jaws films. If one of them had to be destroyed, and I could only save one, I would save the 4 Jaws films. Now, both of these franchises are very similar. First 2 are great. The next ones that came after it were not so great, right? So, but the reason I would take the Jaws films over the Superman films, the original Christopher Reeve Superman films, is this. I believe the Jaws films hold up a little better, but there's also never been anything that can take the place of Jaws. Whereas we've had several incarnations of Superman. You can have the debate about which incarnation is best, fine, but at least you can say that there have been other incarnations of Superman, some good ones too, some really good ones. Whereas Jaws is just Jaws. There's nothing else that can replace Jaws. So if I got rid of Jaws, I've got nothing there to kind of take its place. If we got rid of the Christopher Reeve Superman films, that's a bummer, but there would be other things there. There would be other incarnations of Superman there to take its place. So if I had to just save one and you put the proverbial gun to my head about that, I'll save the Jaws films. All right. Chris Corcoran writes, have you seen the Overwatch animated shorts? I know you're a big Blizzard fan, and I could see this as an animated movie. I have not. I've seen a lot of Overwatch. I've watched a lot of my buddies play Overwatch. Oddly enough, I have never played Overwatch. I've sat down like for an evening and watched my buddies play while I snack on Doritos and whatnot, but I have never played Overwatch myself. I've got to get involved. I got to play me some Overwatch because everybody plays it that I know. But I have not seen the animated shorts for it, so I really can't comment on that. Chris's next question, though, have you seen the series Transformers Prime? If you're burnt out by the movies, this is a show for you. Plus, it has Peter Cullen and Frank Welker back. I have watched a bunch of it, and it's pretty good, actually. I know some people flip for it. I don't flip for it, but it is actually pretty damn good. I was kind of impressed with it. It would be interesting to see if they do more stuff with that. And you're right, it is kind of cool having, Peter Weller or Peter Cullen and Frank Welker doing their voices again. It does remind me, though, that, I think Transformers is going to be, the movie franchise is going to be rebooted. I believe that 100%. After Bumblebee, they're going to reboot it. And I don't believe we're going to get Frank, keeps wanting to say Frank. I don't think we're going to get Peter Cullen back. And that's fine. If you reboot, you got to bring in new voices. I totally believe that. But but you can always go back and watch those original ones, and you can watch that relatively new series, Transformers Prime, to get your Cullen and Weller goodness fill. All right. Next one came to us from Han Solo. By the way, these are questions that came from an earlier attempt to do open mic, and we had the audio sync, so I restarted. These are where those questions are coming from. Han Solo writes, did you hear that Amazon is making a series based on The Departed? I think it sounds interesting, but I don't see it being better than the film. Okay, Han, but my brother, my friend, why? This drives me nuts when film fans do this. Why is the first place we go when we hear about a new version, new incarnation, is the first thing we want to do is, yeah, but will it be better than the original? Why is that even a question? Why do we even have to, why does it have to be better than the film? It doesn't have to be better than the film. Because I've always kind of equated that to saying, hey, there's this new comedy with Ryan Reynolds coming out. Do you think you think it'll be better than Godfather? Well, no. Then why bother? Why make a movie if you can't make it better than The Godfather? What's the point? Well, the point is to have another good movie. It may not be as good as The Godfather, but you have more good movies. Look, I don't care whether the Departed series ends up being as good or better as, because remember, the Martin Scorsese Departed is a reboot. A lot of people forget that. That Martin Scorsese film with Leo DiCaprio and Mark Wahlberg and Matt Damon, that won Best Picture at the Academy Awards, it's a reboot. It's a reboot, which is one of the big films I use when people, all reboots suck. As a matter of fact, they don't. But it is a reboot of what I believe to be even a slightly superior product. It's an Asian police crime drama called Infernal Affairs. And The Departed is actually a pretty decent, like shot-for-shot kind of recreation of it. But at any rate, so I don't need it to be as good as either the Scorsese rendition or Infernal Affairs, just as long as it's good. As long as you make it good and it's another piece of entertainment that I can enjoy, that's the only question we should be asking. Not well, it can't be better than the movie version. Well, maybe not, but who cares? As long as it's good, because that's a pretty damn high standard. We're talking about a film that won Best Picture at the Academy Awards. The first film to finally get Martin Scorsese his Academy Award as Best Director. A lot of people forget that he never had an Academy Award before he won for The Departed. So yeah, I'm very excited about seeing it. Hopefully it's good. It's definitely based on good source material. So let's see if it actually works out to be worth its salt. All right. Ben Rayner writes, better cameo, Cap in Thor 2 or Strange in Thor 3? Well, I'm going to go Strange in Thor 3 because Cap in Thor 2 wasn't actually Cap. If you remember, that wasn't actually Cap. That was Loki. As long as I'm thinking of the right scene, yeah. That was Loki. That wasn't actually Captain America. So I will go, the better cameo was Doctor Strange in Thor 3. Masters Young writes, Complex sold Collider. Thoughts? Yeah, that's to be honest with you, that actually happened a little while ago. They just didn't make it public. Complex actually dumped Collider a while ago, and it was actually coming for a long time. But they've now just made it public, and they've made everybody aware of it. So, I don't know about what my thoughts on it are, and and even if I had a really strong sense of what my thoughts and opinions on that are, I don't really know that it's my place to share them, to be honest with you, just because of the relationship I had with Complex and the relationship I had with Collider. Yeah, I think I will just kind of keep my opinion on that to myself for now. Not necessarily because I have nothing but bad things to say. No, but even if I was saying something that is neither good nor bad, I don't want it to be misconstrued or taken out of context and somebody spin it to make it sound bad, which people do all the time. Which by the way, I got to tell you guys something in a minute. But anyway, so I will keep that to myself. The one thing that I have got to comment on though, is in the Hollywood Reporter, and I get it. Look, I'm not holding this against anybody. Nobody did anything wrong, okay? I get it. But the one part that irked me a little bit, that made me raise my eyebrow, was in the Hollywood Reporter that did a story on the fact that Complex sold off Collider. They put this thing as under Complex guided. Once Complex took over Collider, Complex guided Collider's, YouTube presence to grow from 2 million views to 12 million views. Fuck you. Complex had nothing to do with that other than paying my salary. All right? There is somebody who grew the Complex YouTube, the Collider YouTube channel from 2 million views to 12 million views a month, and you're looking at him. It was my programming. It was my team that I assembled and I hired and put in place. And then reading the Hollywood Reporter under Complex's guidance, blah, blah, blah. And I get it. Look, I understand. I totally get. I don't know who wrote the article, but I totally get why they wrote it like that. No shade on them whatsoever. None. It's just, you're sitting alone in your living room taking a break from working, and you read that, and your ego pops up, and you're a bit. And I'm like, fuck you, Collider. Complex did not do that. Anyway, so that was just me. Again, no shade on whoever wrote the article. I understand why they wrote it like that. Totally do. They did nothing wrong. It just kind of rubbed me the wrong way, even though there was nobody did anything wrong whatsoever. But aside from that, hey, look, I know the person who bought it. The person who bought it was my former boss. I actually had dinner with him a week and a half ago, something like that. The two of us got together for dinner. I hope nothing but the best for them. And I hope they're able to succeed and do better out from under Complex. And other than that, I really don't want to share my thoughts on it because I don't want anybody to misconstrue my thoughts or anything like that. But let me share one thing with you. Let me share one thing with you here that has nothing to do with Complex, nothing to do with anything like that. You guys are going to be the only. I'm not going to say this on the John Campea Show. You guys are going to be the ones to hear this right now. Earlier today, I found out something regarding Warner Brothers and the DC Cinematic Universe that I know is 100% true. And if I were to say what it is, people would lose their banana minds, and not in a good way. If I said what I found out today about Warner Brothers and the DCEU, that I know 100% is true. And it's going to come out. It's going to come out eventually. I don't know if it's going to come out in a month or 3 months or 5 months, but it's going to come out. If I said what it was, oh my God, people would pitchforks and flames and whatever would be so pissed. And here's the thing. I ain't going to say what it is. You know why I ain't going to say what it is? I'm not in the scoop game. Like every once in a while, if I find something out, I share it, things like that. I don't run headlines about it, but I'll share it and all that kind of crap. But I found, whether it was the Jake Gyllenhaal thing, whether it was the Ben Affleck thing, whatever. But it's not really my game. My game is not a scoop breaker. So I'm not saying I'll never break a scoop again, but when I shared the 100% true thing about how everything with Ben Affleck and Warner Brothers was falling apart and that Ben Affleck was going to leave, he might do one more film because of his contract, but after that, you ain't going to see him as Batman anymore. And it turns out to be true, by the way. I got so much shit from people. I spent the next 4 months just being attacked by people for saying that. By the way, not one of those people ever wrote to apologize to me when all the stuff about Ben started becoming more and more public and realizing, oh yeah, it really does look like he's leaving. Like not one apology, and that's fine, whatever. But Because of that experience I had, I ain't going to say what it is. I'm going to maybe I'll tell Ray, okay? I'll do what I did with the spoiler about the Last Jedi, because I found out like a year before The Last Jedi came out that Snoke dies in it, right? That was my big thing. I knew Kylo killed him. So I told the audience, I know a huge spoiler, and I'm going to tell Josh McCouga. And I told Josh McCouga, I said, Josh can now confirm with you after the movie comes out that that's what the spoiler was. I will tell Ray what this particular piece of Warner Brothers DCU news is. I will tell him. And then whenever it comes out, and it's going to come out, and it's going to be public. I just don't know if it's going to be in 5 days. I don't know if it's going to be in 8 months. I just don't know. But when it does, I'll let Ray tell you what it was when it comes out public. But just because of the shitstorm I took from a bunch of lowlifes over the Ben Affleck thing, no thanks. I'm just not going to share it. I just know people are going to lose their fucking minds when they find out about this. Woo! Okay, anyway. Let's move on with the questions, shall we? Now that I got that out of the way. Chris Bradford writes, this is kind of a random question, but what was your favorite subject in school? My favorite subject in school was actually history. I love history. I think that was also one of my biggest thing. Like, for some of you know, like I'm an armchair theologian. Like I studied I went to Bible college. I went to seminary. One of the things I found most fascinating about the Bible is just reading the history of it and stuff like that. And I'm still, my favorite documentaries are historical documentaries. I am a sucker for history. I really am. And so I'm not a historian by any stretch of imagination, but history turns my crank, man. I get excited about it. So when I was in school, history was my favorite subject. Kellex writes, will you do a live stream during the Oscars? Maybe your live reaction to it, the entire show, and answering super chat questions throughout. Too much? Oh no, definitely. I'll let you guys know. Oscar night, me and probably Kaori, probably have Ray over as well. A few of us will get together. I'm going to watch the Oscars, and it's not going to be here in the studio. It's going to be out in the living room. So it'll be like a webcam, whatever, but I will be live streaming the whole Oscars. And by live streaming the Oscars, I don't mean like turning the camera onto the television, but I mean the camera will be on me. You will see my reactions, hear my immediate commentary about it, and I will definitely take your chats and your questions throughout the show as well. It's going to be like 3 hours long, but we are going to do that. I hope you guys will join me for Oscars on Oscar night there. So thanks for asking about that, Kellex. Caleb Lawrence writes, better actor-director duo, Wahlberg and Berg or Jordan Coogler? Each have made 3 great films together so far. Yes, they have. Wahlberg and Berg, I have liked all the films they've made together. Lone Survivor, Deepwater Horizon is an underrated film. Patriots Day is a very, very solid film. I like all of those movies. That being said, I think I literally like all of the Coogler Jordan movies. I think I like all 3 of them better than the Wahlberg-Berg movies. Like, I think I would put Fruitvale Station, Black Panther, and Creed. I think I would watch any one of those 3 before watching any one of the Wahlberg-Berg 3. And I like all the Wahlberg and Berg combo films. I really like them. Deepwater Horizon surprised me. It's much better than I thought it would be. I thought it was going to be dumb, but it was like really, really good. But yeah, I'm going to take Jordan Coogler right now. Adam Griffin writes, Black Panther over under 53% drop in 3rd weekend. Oh, you know what? It's still not opening up against much. There's still not a serious box office threat out there right now. Not yet. I'll take the under. I'm going to take an under 53% drop from week 2 to week 3. I'm going to take the under on that. John Salvi writes, want to cut the cord, bought a smart TV, but finding it hard to find a show like Rebels without paying for cable with Disney XD subscription. Help. Well, there's a couple things you can do. Number 1, get a family member who's got cable. And as long as they don't use these streaming services too, I don't know if that breaks the terms of service or not. I don't think it does, but just use a family member's cable subscription thing, and you should be fine. Other than that, I know that once in a while there's a show that I can't get on any of my streaming things, so I just go to Amazon Prime or I go to iTunes and I just buy the show. I mean, it's like $1.99 an episode, so it's really no big deal. It's really not that much. So I would say just if you're stuck, don't be cheap. Just drop the $5, $6, $7, $8, buy a couple episodes and watch it that way. So there's lots and lots of very easy legal ways to do it. But again, I would say check out ask a family member who's got a cable subscription and just piggyback on theirs. Again, I don't think that breaks any kind of terms of service. I don't think so. Anyway, okay, let's move on here. Luis Francisco Contreras writes, I like the Ralph trailer more than the Incredibles 2 one. Well, the Wreck-It Ralph trailer came out this morning, which I thought was really enjoyable. I liked it a lot. I did a whole trailer review and breakdown of it. You can find it on my YouTube channel right now. I'm going to say, though, I like the Incredibles 2 one a little bit more. It just had more meaning, The whole idea about, Mr. Incredible, a superhero, blah, 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 the guy who's used to being in the spotlight, and now he wants his wife to be in the spotlight. He wants to support her, and he's now looking after kids, something he hasn't done on his own before. And I just think there's a lot more to it there. So I can totally see, I enjoyed the Wreck-It Ralph 1 too, and I think there's probably going to be a whole bunch of people that preferred the Wreck-It Ralph trailer over the Incredibles 2 trailer. For me, I really like the Incredibles 2 trailer, so I'm going to give the nod to, I'm going to give the nod to the Incredibles 2 trailer. All right, Derek Large writes, why do people hate on Al Pacino's performance in Scent of a Woman? I thought it was really well-deserved Oscar win. Well, look, all film is subjective. I think the single greatest male performance maybe in any movie ever is Daniel Day-Lewis in There Will Be Blood. But I'm sure there are people out there who don't even think it was a good movie or who don't even think it was a good performance. That's the subjective nature of film and art. So I find most people, I'll be honest with you, I've been around a lot of movie fan circles and I've never heard many people, I've heard a few, but I've never heard many people hate on the Al Pacino performance in Scent of a Woman. Very, very rare. So, and look, you can expect that for any great movie, the movie that you think is great. It happens. So I honestly don't hear that much hatred for it. I really don't. But that's just me. Andrew Fan says, replace all the Best Picture nominees. I don't know what you mean by that. Are you suggesting that the Best Picture nominees do not deserve to be Best Picture nominees? Because I will disagree with you on that, Andrew, if that's the case. Charlie Zakari writes, happy belated birthday. Thoughts on Disney's Beauty remake? Beauty remake? I'm going to just assume you mean Beauty and the Beast remake. If so, I liked it. I had a good time at it. I thought it was a good adaptation of it. Didn't quite capture the magic that the original animated does. What's Emma's last name? No, it's not Emma Stone. Emma Watson. That's it. Emma Watson is a very good singer compared to me, but she's not like a world-class singer. She's a good singer compared to any of us, but she's not a world-class singer. And there were times in the movie when I really felt like, yeah, you can feel the disparity in the singing talent in a few places. It didn't quite capture the magic the way the animated one does, but I still thought it was quite good. And I enjoyed it a great deal. So that's my thoughts on that. All right. With that out of the way, now it is time for us to go over to the new batch of live questions that you guys have been sending in here for us to get around to. So we will get things started off here with Ben Rayner, who wrote in, did they redeem Ahsoka in this week's Rebels? I don't want to get into any spoilers, but not really. She didn't really do anything. She was just there. So I wouldn't say they redeemed her in this week's Rebels. I mean, a lot of people argue she doesn't need redeeming, and there's an argument to be made for that. But really, her role in this week's episode of Rebels was minimal. So I'll say that. Chris Warden writes, thoughts on Seattle getting an NHL team in 2020? Is that official? Hold on a second. Let me pull up something here. NHL, or is that wishful thinking? NHL's potential, Seattle's potential NHL expansion owner opens up. Okay, so it looks like it's a potential thing. Okay, so they're looking at it. That's interesting because Seattle had an NHL team before. I think they were, what were they called? The Seals or something like that? I think it was before I was born. But I believe Seattle, I'm almost positive Seattle had an NHL team once. I'm almost positive they did. I could be wrong about that. But the fact that we're getting these expansion teams, and yet Hamilton, Ontario, a major hockey city, still does not have an NHL team, to me is a joke. But anyway. But hey, good on Seattle if they can get that NHL team. That would be great. Han Solo writes, John, do you think John Wick could become a successful franchise instead of a 3-movie trilogy? Well, Han, I mean, a 3-movie trilogy is a franchise. It's a franchise. Much like, I think as a 3-movie trilogy, it is a franchise. Also, it's getting a TV show. It's got a TV show, I believe it's to Stars. There's a Continental TV show, which is a part of the John Wick universe, that, Keanu Reeves will appear in once in a while, I think. Like maybe once a season he'll pop up. But that's all one shared universe. So it is. But even without the TV show, even as a trilogy, it's a franchise. Once you do more than one thing, you are a franchise. Can it be a successful franchise? It all depends on how good this Continental TV show is. If it's even like 70% as good as the movies, it doesn't have to be as good as the movies, but even if it's just like 70% as good as the movies, then they'll be in pretty good shape. They'll be in really good shape. I'm very excited to see what they're going to do with it. Amin writes, did you hear Netflix was talking about possibly offering a premium membership to stream films in theaters? Don't believe it will happen, but what do you think? Well, okay, I'll say this. I have not heard that. Let me just see where you're getting this from, Amin. Netflix stream movies in theaters. Yeah, okay, so here's the thing. Whoever is saying that, I think that's just a rumor you're hearing from somewhere, because here's the problem. Netflix doesn't have the rights to stream movies that are playing in theaters. They don't have the rights to do that. The other problem is this. Movie theaters will never play your movies, at least the big theaters, AMC, Regal. They will not allow a movie to play in their theaters if you're going to then stream it right away. They have policies against that. They're like, why would we take up our movie theaters and take up our screens for your movies if you're just also going to stream them at the same time? It would never happen. I mean, sorry, I shouldn't say it'll never happen. I mean, but it would not happen right now. Right now, the way the landscape is and the environment, so Netflix does not have the rights to stream movies that are in theaters. The movie theaters themselves would never allow it to happen. And it would be a complete revenue kill for movie studios to do that. Because movie studios make way more money with their movies in theaters than they do with their movies streaming later. Movie studios make far more money with their movies in the theaters than they do in streaming. So it's just a no all the way around. Luis writes, I always hated Windu. I think the way some Jedi threatened Anakin was the reason he went to the dark side, because they made him trust in Palpatine more. Well, I mean, you could say that, but you could also say that that was Anakin's own fault. Anakin for being too ambitious. Anakin for not following the rules. Like, there's a cause and effect. Were the Jedi especially hard on Anakin? Yes, but Anakin was an especially disobedient Padawan at the same time. So it's a cause and effect. But that's not what turned him. What turned him was his attachment to Padme. And his being in love with Padme. And his willingness to save her life, even at the expense of destroying the Jedi Order and of murdering millions of people. That's what did it. It wasn't that they were just hard on him for the sake of being hard on him. He was a particularly bad student in many ways. In many ways, he was the greatest of all time, but he was difficult in many ways, so they were harder on him. But none of that is what turned him. It was his attachment to Padme, which kind of highlights why the Jedi rule was actually a good rule. Not having those attachments. Ben Rayner writes, is the Weekly Hero done? Yes, Weekly Hero for now. Weekly Hero for now is done. What I decided was a lot of the questions, almost all the questions that were coming in were just questions we were asking on open mic anyway. So I decided, you know what? People on open mic, people can still ask the same questions they were asking on the Weekly Hero. It's just that now, by having it just be a regular open mic show, we can also talk about other things as well. Now, Star Wars Talk Tuesdays is also no more, but now it's just Star Wars Talk, which is going to be on Sundays. So there will be Star Wars Talk on Sundays, and then Monday through Friday is open mic. And we talk a lot of comic book movies on open mic, so that's why I felt like it was okay to let the Weekly Hero go. That's the thing about me. I am not afraid to kill things that I start. Like if I start something and I feel like, nope, this isn't working, I don't get attached to it and think, oh, I made it, therefore it has to work and I have to keep it going no matter what. No, man, I've made things that don't work or become obsolete or don't work as well, and I'm totally willing. I think the reason I've had success in what I do is because I'm willing to cut things that I start. Some other people, if they start something, they take it as a bruise on their ego if they let it go. And like to me, it's like, nah, man, let's just let it go. And Weekly Heroes started to feel redundant to me. And that's why I decided to let it go. Good question, though, Ben. Jeremiah writes, did you ever find out about Gary Vanderchuk? Nope, never did. I honestly never did. Andy A. Hernandez writes, is merch still coming? Yes, merch is still coming. I just haven't had the time to try to find artists to design it, a proper outlet for doing it. I mean, that's work. And I've been working almost all days. And with the John Campea show getting more and more intricate now that I'm bringing in guests now and again do those little guest spots like this morning I did with Jason Inman. How great was Jason this morning, by the way? With the movie news feed, these are all things that's taking up more and more of my time. And I don't know when I'm going to get around to it, but I definitely want to do merch. So keep your eyes open for that. Chris Parker writes, Remake 1, batteries not included or Short Circuit? I'll go batteries not included. Short Circuit is a movie I like more, but I think a batteries not included plays better today than a Short Circuit reinterpretation today. I just think a batteries not included plays a little bit better today than Short Circuit would. And I love those little alien bots. Those are cute. Factual Opinion writes, I can't be a fanboy of anything. I'm a big fan of Game of Thrones, but the show has some irritating things in it. Well, look, I mean, everything you love has some irritating things in it, right? I mean, my life revolves around Star Wars, and I hate the prequels. I'm not a big fan of Clone Wars. A lot of times along the way with Rebels, I've been hit and miss. But look, you're allowed. Here's the thing, and I am a diehard Leafs fan. Almost as much as Star Wars, I am a fan of the Toronto Maple Leafs. I don't talk about it a lot, but I am a bleed blue and white. When I was a little kid, me and my buddies, whenever Toronto the game would be over, when Toronto would score a goal, we'd all get on the phone with each other. Oh my God, you see that? But I am a diehard fan of Toronto, and I will tell you they suck. Oh my God, they have sucked for decades. This year looks like they're turning it around, but I don't like to say that out loud because I don't want to jinx it. You are allowed. This is the thing that kills me about fandom today. There is this completely wrong impression out there that if you're a fan of something, you can't ever think anything negative about it. That's a fake fan. You're not a fan. Sorry, go away. If you're somebody who thinks that if you're a fan of something, you only think it's perfect and you never point out its flaws and you never think anything but great things, fake fan. You are a fake fan. Go away. You are a blight on fandom. Real fans are fans who love something and hold it close to its heart, being fully aware of its flaws and fully aware of its shortcomings and fully aware of that. The most passionate fans in the world are sports fans, all right? You go to any city, you go to like a Philadelphia or New York, whatever, right? And you listen to their sports call-in radio shows. You have people who bleed the colors of their team, right? Have been a fan of that team from birth, will be a fan of that team until death. But they will be the ones that complain the most about their teams because they are passionate about the success for their teams. And when things aren't going right, they want to call it out because they're true fans. And this whole notion, like for instance, like whether it's Marvel or DC fans, you point something else like, man, like the editing, like I gave a really positive review. Here's an example. I gave this big positive review to Suicide Squad. I liked it a lot, but I said, editing wise, the story's a bit of a hot mess. It's just a hot mess and blah, blah, blah. And everybody, like all these DC fake fans, these fake DC fans who think if you're a fan of DC, you can only ever say good things about it, come at me and say, how dare you say that? It's like, hey, look, man, I'm a fan of DC, so I will point out the things that I don't think work. I will complain about Warner Brothers, not because I am bashing DC and I'm a DC hater, it's because I love DC. Unlike some of you fake ones out there, I am a real fan of DC properties and I want them to do well. And I don't accept, you may be okay to accept mediocrity. You fake fandom, you might be okay with sitting in the corner, covering your eyes, going, no, everything's fine, everything's fine, everything's fine. Maybe you're okay with that. Maybe you're satisfied with mediocrity being served to you with properties that should be the best in the world. I am not, because I'm a fan, and I want Superman, Batman, Flash, Aquaman, Green Lantern. I want these things to be given their proper due on screen as they have been on the comic book pages for us since we were little kids. And real fans will demand that. Fake fans cover their eyes and ears and go, everything's fine, everything's fine, everything's fine. That's not what real fans do. That is not what real fans do. Real fans love their stuff and call it out on its shit at the same time. It's like your mother, man. Your mother knows every crappy thing about you, but nobody else in this world's ever going to love you like your mom. Your mom will hug you, be there for you to the day you die, all that kind of stuff, but she knows you're an idiot. Your mom knows you're a bit of an asshole, and yet she loves you anyway. That's real love, much like that's real fandom. Anyway, so you know what, factual opinion? You're allowed to be a big fanboy of Game of Thrones and still recognize the deficiencies in it. That's real fandom. So you're allowed, man. You're totally allowed. Don't be lied to. Don't be tricked into thinking if you call yourself a Game of Thrones fan, that means you have to say nothing but good things about it and believe everything is crapping out rainbows and gold coins of the leprechauns. No, you are allowed to point out the things that don't work in it. You are allowed, because you know what? If you're somebody who points out the things that don't work in it and you love it anyway, that's real fandom. That's real love. Anyway, I've been going on that a little bit too long. But yes, you are allowed to love something and not necessarily think everything about it is perfect. Let's see. I get the same thing from Marvel fans, man. Like whenever I talk about, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., people say, oh, you say you're a Marvel fan, but you talk badly about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. You show your true colors. You're not a real Marvel fan. It's like, yeah, I am. But I'm not going to call a turd a gold coin when it's not. So anything. Anyway, let's move on. I got on that too long. Luis Francisco writes, do you think the reason why DC is not rebooting is because they don't know what to do with their universe, even then, so they just try to fix this one? Well, no, and here's the thing. I have been convinced by some of you guys have convinced me that Warner Brothers may actually be rebooting their franchise. They're just keeping it under wraps. That the reason they haven't announced a new Henry Cavill Superman movie, the reason they haven't done this and they haven't done that, maybe, this Shazam, maybe all that kind of stuff is going to be a reboot of it. I mean, I just don't know. I just don't believe that with all the brain power they have over there at Warner Brothers, and they have a lot, that they can't come up with a direction they want to go. I think probably 7 of us could sit down in a room for like 2 days and we could come up with a direction. I've got to think after months that these people at Warner Brothers, who are much smarter than you and I, or at least much smarter than me, have been able to come up with something and should be able to come up with something. Jack Tatum writes, hey, John, love the show. Thank you so much, Jack. What is your favorite role of Sean Connery besides James Bond? Mine is Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Keep up the great work. The movie, well, there's a couple that come to mind. And yes, him as Indiana Jones's dad is fantastic. What's his name? It was Henry, was it not? Henry Jones. Anyway, the two that come to mind right away are, one is Hunt for Red October. He's so good in Hunt for Red October. The second one is the name of the movie is eluding me right now, but it's the movie where he's this dude, he's this doctor who lives in the jungles, and he finds a cure for cancer in the jungles. Do you know the movie I'm talking about? I mean, full marks to you guys if you can remember the name of the movie. I can't remember the name of the movie off the top of my head, but basically he finds this plant in the jungle that is literally, he's able to cure cancer with it. And there's this morality question about, do I bring this back to the world, or will it be, misused, or all this kind of stuff? It's a good movie. It's a good movie, but the performance of Sean Connery in it is fantastic. So those are the ones that come to mind for me. Good question, Jack. Van Sensei writes, thoughts on Gord Downey tragically hip biopic? I'd be down for it. I mean, I haven't heard if they're officially doing one. Look, you're talking to a Canadian kid who grew up singing, and as a guy who played in a lot of bands in high school, I played a lot of Tragically Hip. I mean, I learned guitar to some degree playing Tragically Hip songs. A lot of U2, a lot of other people as well. But I mean, when you're Canadian, it was just kind of part of the national identity was the hip. And I'd be interested. N Starks 007 writes, have you read Mark Millar's comments about how DC characters aren't cinematic and thus the DC EU is failing? Yeah, I did. I don't agree with him. For instance, one of the things that Mark Millar said in those comments was, well, one, between Marvel and DC, one is about their secret identities. One is just about their powers. And, I heard him say that. And if that were true, he would be on to something. Mark Millar said, the thing about DC is the real focus is on their character and their secret identities. With DC, the focus is just on the powers of the characters. If that were true, I think he would be on to something. And I understand where he's going with that, but I don't think that's true. This starting presumption he makes about Marvel is all about the secret identities and DC is just all about the powers, I don't agree with that. I don't think that's the way it's played out at all. If it were, I would see where he's coming from, but I just don't agree with him on that. So that kind of shaded the way I read most. Hey, Mark Millar is a super smart dude, knows this industry very, very much. I just happen to disagree with him. Huge respect for him, but I just disagree with him on this issue. Jeremiah J writes, how much do you expect Black Panther to make in China when it releases in April? Does Chadwick really hold that much star power in China to translate to box office numbers? It's not necessarily about the star. China is just a weird market to guess. There have been movies that opened in China that people thought, it's going to open in China and then it's going to be a big hit. And then it opens in China and makes $40 million. And then some weird movie opens in China and makes, $250, $300 million. I mean, it's the Chinese market is such a quandary. And I have no idea. The real answer to that is I have no idea. I don't know if Black Panther is going to make $30 million in China. I don't know if it's going to make $300 million in China. I simply don't know. I have no guess at this point. None. Because I've seen some films open in China that I thought would do great in China, and they didn't. I've seen some films play in China that I didn't think would do all that well, and they just killed it in China. So the Chinese box office is one that I have not studied, so I don't really have my finger on the pulse of it at all. So your guess at this point, man, is as good as mine. Jake C. writes, deathmatch, Luke or Jason from your movie fight? Oh, Luke. I mean, Jason can't fight when he's dismembered into 40 pieces. That's it. Luke dismembers him into 40 pieces, force pushes Jason back, then slices him, into pieces with his lightsaber, and that's it. It's done. Very simple. I remember that one. Gabriel Gutierrez. I'm butchering your last name, man. I'm sorry. Favorite all-time movie? Mine is Last Samurai. Star Wars. Obviously, man. Star Wars. Hans Wurmat. But by the way, Last Samurai is a really good movie too. But I mean, Star Wars. Hans writes, John, can Fox sell X-Men? Sony can't sell Spidey. No. But here's the thing. Fox cannot sell X-Men, but Fox can sell 20th Century Fox. And X-Men, their deal has them belonging to 20th Century Fox. If Fox, the parent company, sells 20th Century Fox as one whole studio, to somebody else. Well, the X-Men rights stay with 20th Century Fox. What Fox cannot do is just say, take the X-Men rights, just the X-Men rights and sell them off to Universal Pictures. They can't do that. They're not allowed to do that. The X-Men have a deal with 20th Century Fox, and they're either with 20th Century Fox or they got to go back to Marvel. Well, what if 20th Century Fox just changes their owner, but they stay intact as a company? That's a different situation. But no, to answer your question, in general, Fox can't just take the X-Men rights and sell them off to somebody else. That can't happen. Justin Ward writes, hey man, good job on that trailer reaction review today. Oh, thank you so much, Justin. I appreciate that. Not just there like a bump on the log while it plays. Literally reviewed. Take notes, Collider. Well, I mean, look, before you get too hard on Collider, Collider does something different than what I do. I don't do trailer reactions. I've done a couple of them, but I've always felt, even though I wasn't being fake, I felt fake. And I felt like I had to overreact. Look, 90% of the trailer reactions you see are faked. I mean, they're faked. They either watch them already, and when they haven't, they turn up their reactions to play better for the camera. There are some that are legit. There absolutely are some that are legit, completely. And there are a couple that I know are not completely legit, but I am super entertained by them anyway. There's a couple of them that are really, really great. But I mean, I don't do trailer reactions. I do trailer reviews. As far as I know, Collider does trailer reactions. They're two different things. They do reactions. I do not. So, I mean, so that's fine. So it's, you shouldn't compare what I'm doing to them because they're doing something a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing a review and a shot-by-shot breakdown of trailers. They're doing trailer reactions. They're different things. They both have their benefits. They both have their weaknesses. Nothing wrong with that. So yeah, there you go. Jeremiah J. writes, does Kevin Smith's Jay and Silent Bob reboot make more than the original? I don't know. As much as those of us in the nerd community know Jay and Silent Bob, I could say Jay and Silent Bob to my mom. She'll have no idea what we're talking about. So I honestly don't know. It's look, a Jay and Silent Bob reboot is not going to make $200 million domestically. I'm not even just talking opening weekend. I mean, just overall, it's not going to be a $200 million movie. It's just not. Can it beat the original? Don't know, man. We'll have to wait and see. And by the way, thankfully, Kevin Smith is recovering. Thank goodness. Cobra writes, if you are watching a foreign film, do you prefer dubbing or subtitles? I'll be honest with you. I prefer subtitles. Because a lot of the performance isn't just reading the lines. A lot of performance is the emotion in the lines, the inflections in the speech. There's a lot that's said in a scene with the way a line is said as opposed to what the line is being said, right? And when I'm watching a foreign film and there's subtitles, I can still, even if I don't understand the language, I can still catch those inflections. I can still catch the emotional meaning, even if I can't understand the language itself. I'm reading the dialogue, but I'm hearing how they're saying the dialogue. For that reason, I prefer subtitles to dubbing. Don't get me wrong, I'll watch a foreign movie that's dubbed too, but I prefer subtitles to dubbing. Except in a Kung Fu movie. See, in a Kung Fu movie, it's got to be dubbed because your eyes need to be up a little bit higher watching the action. So yeah, so for a Kung Fu movie or heavy action movie, I'll go the other way. I'll go dubbing instead of subtitles, but normally subtitles over dubbing. Kevin Newman writes, various sources report Reddit and 4chan said Felipe it's not Felipe the microphone. It's Felipe the sentient dancing microphone, by the way. Movie has been shooting for years, but they're reshooting the entire movie to make it rated R. They want to keep it filthy. Felipe the sentient dancing microphone. Oh, and I've got him sitting over there right now. He's not over here. Yes, I've been working day and night on a Felipe the sentient dancing microphone trilogy. That's right. That's right. Reddit and 4chan is saying a movie, but it's not. I've been shooting a trilogy, and I'm going to put all 3 movies out at once. So, and obviously if you believe that. Thanks for the question, Kevin. Connor Diaz writes, just wanted to say you're such an inspiration. Thank you, Connor. I appreciate that very much. Thank you. Chris Martin writes, have you heard of the Disney Legacy Collection? They've released The Lion King full score, Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid, etc. No, I have not, but my wife Anne I remember bought a bunch of these, like the Lion King sound. I've got the Lion King soundtrack on vinyl. Remember the other day I had that Star Wars record player? Well, Anne's got the Lion King soundtrack on vinyl here as well, which is pretty cool to have. Mary writes, but John, spill the juice. We won't tell. Nope. Nope. Not saying it. Not saying. Because here's the thing. Let me go back to the Ben Affleck thing just for a second. Okay, just for a second. I remember when I was doing my show, Movie Talk, and I did not put in the headlines Ben Affleck and Warner Brothers split. Ben Affleck's going to be leaving Batman. I didn't put that in the headlines. I didn't put it in the show description. I didn't put it in the title. I practically hid it. Then in the middle of a conversation surrounding thing, I decided, hey, just so you guys know, I've talked to a couple people. They've let me know that this is the case. I believe these two sources, they're very well placed. They know what they're talking about. But I didn't put in the headlines. I didn't put in the title. I didn't put in the description. I wasn't trying to get hits off of it, because if I wanted hits off of it, I would have made a YouTube video that said, Ben Affleck leaving as Batman. I would have done that. But I didn't. I just hid it. And the next day, I'm listening to ESPN radio, and they're quoting my story on ESPN radio. I mean, and it was everywhere. And the shitstorm I got. So, nope. I'm not going to say what this. You guys will find out. It's going to come out. This isn't something that you'll never know what it is. No. This is going to come out. And it's going to come out, again, I don't know if in 5 days or in 5 months, whatever, but it is going to come out. And when it does, it's just another thing of, look, it's just another thing of what the hell is Warner Brothers doing with DC right now? What the hell is going on over there? But you'll hear it. You'll hear it. I'll tell it to Ray, and Ray will confirm it with you later. But yep. I took so much shit about it last time. I was just like, nope, not going to say anything again. Dirk Diggler writes, hey, John, I know what the secret is, but let's ask you this covertly. If the bottom were to fall, then what do you think of the prospect of Mickey getting the big cheese? Hint, the trifecta. I'm not really sure what let me read that again, Dirk, because you seem to put a lot of thought into it, so I should read it again. Hey, John, I know what the secret is, but let's ask you this covertly. If the bottom were to fall, then what do you think of the prospects of Mickey getting the big cheese? Hint, the trifecta. If you're insinuating Warner Brothers being bought by Disney, if that's what you're insinuating, no, that's not what's in my mind, nor what is happening. So no, that's not what I'm talking about. No, this is a story about something that's just gone, another big thing of things being screwed up the DCEU right now. But anyway, so no, it is not that particular thing, Dirk. If I'm understanding your meaning properly, I may not be. Philip writes, love the show. Any thoughts on Inception? Oh, I love Inception. Inception is a great movie. I don't like the ending. I'm one of those people. See, the world seems to be broken into two people. People who think ambiguous endings are really cool, and people who think ambiguous endings are lazy. I fall on the ambiguous endings are lazy. So that whole spinning top thing in Inception, wait a minute, is he in the dream or is he not in the dream? That's something that you should answer as a movie. I came to see that movie. I write it off as that. But overall, the movie's brilliant. Inception's wonderful. I love that movie. Eli the Creative writes, would you rather reboot the DCEU not knowing who will be cast or direct, or continue the DCEU and you get to pick the storyline and directors? Reboot it. The audience, the fan base has lost hope in the DCEU. You're not going to win them back. You're not going to win them back. At least I don't think at this point. Hopefully they do, because again, and it's a weird place for me to be in, because I am one of the very few people who have actually given positive reviews to every single one of the DCU films. I like every one of the DCU films, but I'm not a cover my eyes kind of fake fan that goes, oh no, everything's wonderful. No, I recognize what's going on. I see what's going on, and I understand the problems that are happening. I understand that I read the box office numbers. I know the chat boards. I can see where things are at. Just because I'm a fan doesn't mean I turn a blind eye to it. I believe the audience has abandoned the DCEU. The average movie-going audience is starting to abandon it. You see that with the fact that Justice League comes out and it makes the lowest amount out of any DCEU movie. That should not just be a panic button thing. That should be nuclear air warning sirens going off. That it's time. So, I would say reboot. Start from scratch. Get a new cast. Get new directors. Start with a fresh vision. And give these DC fans the movies they deserve. These DC fans, even the ones who hate me, okay? These DC fans have been so loyal to DC, they deserve to have a cinematic universe that is super high quality, that enjoys the success as much or more so than the MCU does, that deserves to have the critical praise, that deserves to have audiences, a wide majority of the audiences loving them and embracing them. You're not going to get that with the way things are right now because they've already given up on it. That's just the way I interpret it. Maybe I'm wrong. Hopefully I am, but we'll see as time progresses. Let's see. Oh gosh, I lost it. Where were we here? Oh, you know what? I never got around to saying this, guys. Please don't send in any more questions. There's no way I'm going to be able to get to them all. Sorry, guys. I totally forgot to say that. And look at that. I am only halfway through the questions here. Any questions I do not finish answering, I am not going to lose them this time. I will pick them up I will save all of them and I will pick them up in another video. Okay. So any questions that get sent in here that I didn't get around to, I'll do that. But I'm going to spend another 15 minutes here. We can go a little bit long. Is the secret panic button worthy? LOL. Please say yes. Oh, yes. Yep. The secret is panic button worthy. Yes. Chris Martin writes, John, I am so excited for Jon Favreau's A Lion King. You and me both, man. Do you think Hans Zimmer will return to score, or could we get someone else? If it is someone else, I would love to hear John Dubney's take on it. He did the live-action Jungle Book for Disney. And of course, it's the same director, right? So, honestly, I can't remember, Chris, off the top of my head, if they've announced who the composer is going to be. I mean, the movie's still a long ways off. I can't remember off the top of my head who the composer is. However, if Dubney's was the one who did the scoring for Jungle Book for director Jon Favreau, and Jon Favreau is now doing Lion King, it is not a stretch to think that Favreau is just going to bring him over to do Lion King with him. So, look, whatever they did with Jungle Book worked great. Stick with it. But then again, if they go and get Hans Zimmer, whatever, Jon Favreau will pick the right music. I'm convinced of that. I feel very good about that. And I'm with you, man. My excitement level for this Jungle Book movie, or I keep saying, getting them mixed up, for this Lion King movie is off the charts. The few things I've seen, and I've seen a couple of things, have just looked stunning. Stunning. I am so excited. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that Lion King is my all-time favorite animated film, yes, but it's a combination of stuff. Lion King is my all-time favorite animated film. I loved The Jungle Book. Jon Favreau revolutionized the game with that, with what they can do with that. I mean, it's just so excited, dude. So excited for this. I cannot wait for us to be able to watch this movie. Thanks a lot, Chris. Really appreciate it. Manuel Fernandez writes, kind of an out there question. Favorite science topic to learn about? Neuroscience, technology, astronomy, biology, chemistry, geology, zoology. Well, if I had to pick, sciences were never my big thing. I was more of a history guy. I'd probably go technology, like mechanical technology is probably where my interest would lie. If I had to really think about it, and I'd be honest with you, Manuel, I don't think about it much that often. I think more movies and everything, but I'd probably think more like mechanical technology, things like that. Alan writes, does the Warner Brothers gossip have anything to do with Zack Snyder liking a post about Joss Whedon leaving back? Nah, that's nothing. I pay no attention to that. It has nothing to do with Zack Snyder. It has nothing to do with any of that. It does not. But I mean, it is crazy to me, though, since you brought it up, that the age we live in right now, people will make news stories out of somebody liking a tweet. Not even a comment they make, just the fact that they clicked a like button. People make headlines. You have no idea why he clicked that like button. You don't know what he was thinking, whatever. Like, his reasons for clicking a like button could be completely opposite of what you think he's clicking. But this is the fact that Zack Snyder, I read in some places, Zack Snyder likes Joss Whedon tweet. It's like, this is a story? Is this the era and age we live in now? That somebody clicking a like button on a tweet is a news story? I just remember being astonished at that. At any rate, Andrew Fan writes, I meant if you had to replace. Oh, I see what you're saying. If you had to replace all 9 Best Picture nominees, what would they be? Oh, I don't know, Andrew. I would have to sit down and think about that. I would have to pull up a big list of films and spend the next 20 minutes going through item by item by item about which movies would I replace. I mean, clearly, I would put Logan on the list, obviously. Molly's Game I would have on the list. But other than that, I would have to sit down, bring up some lists, and really thoughtfully go through each one. That's a little bit too grand of a topic for this type of a format. But I appreciate you asking. And thank you for clarifying, by the way, because I was a little bit confused by your original message. Thanks for clarifying that, man. Jessica Tennis writes, will Black Panther join The Force Awakens and Avengers as the only films in the top 5 in the first 3 weekends? Did you check out the movie screen in Vegas last weekend? Okay, first of all, Jessica, will Black Panther join The Force Awakens and Avengers as the only films in the top 5 in the first 3 weekends? Well, okay, so here's the thing, Jessica. I know this can't be what you're saying, because what it sounds like you're saying is that The Force Awakens and Avengers were in the top 5, were the only films to be in the top 5 for their first 3 weekends. Many, many, many films have been in the top 5 for their first 3 weekends. Now, are you saying, will it be... I'm having a hard time interpreting what you're saying, Jessica. So anyway, let me move on to the second part of your question. No, I did not. Most of my time in Vegas was spent at Topgolf with my wife and my friends. That was a great time. I'm not even a golfer, but Topgolf was a great time. I'm not too proud to admit that me, my wife, and my friends went to an adult club to hang out there for the evening, and we had a blast in Vegas there as well. And then I spent a lot of time. Then we ate some great food, and then the rest of my time, I was at the poker tables because I'm a big poker player. So, and it's funny because I used to play poker in LA a lot too. Now I don't play at home anymore. I don't play poker in LA. I only play poker when I go to Vegas now. Because I just don't have time to play when I'm home. I just don't have the time anymore. So it's only when I go to Vegas I get a chance to play poker. All right, we still got some time here. Act Naturally Productions writes, have you seen Swiss Army Man? If so, what do you think? Oh yeah, very good movie. And it's a movie that was triumphed by its performances. Now, at first, everybody's just talking about it because you had Harry Potter playing a farting corpse. Okay, yes, but when you get beyond that, it's a really good movie. I enjoyed it. Performances were great. So, yes, if you haven't had a chance, let's put this one on your list, guys. If you haven't seen Swiss Army Man, put that one on your list. And if it encourages you, then fine. Think of it as the Harry Potter farting dead body joke. Go for that. Whatever's going to get you to check it out, go check it out. Thank you for bringing that one up, Dak. It's a good one that people should check out. And a lot of people have not seen Swiss Army Man. Check it out. Manny Garcia writes, what movie would you make into a video game? My choice is Super Punch-Out, Creed meets Scott Pilgrim style. What is there a movie called Super Punch-Out? Do you mean it the other way around? Do you mean like what video game would I turn into a movie? I mean, you could look, any video game can be made into a movie if you make a good movie. I mean, that's just it. As far as what movie would I make into a video game? I don't know. Like John Wick certainly sounds like a winner. A John Wick would certainly make a pretty good one, I would think. Yaviel Figaro writes, John, you watched Black Lightning last night. It was crazy good. I haven't. I was totally busy last night. But it's funny, as I was eating lunch today, because I take a break in the day to sit down and eat lunch, and I'll pop on and watch one show as I'm eating lunch. And I could either watch Flash or Black Lightning, so I just decided to watch Flash first. So I'm going to probably watch Black Lightning when I go to bed tonight, lay in bed, watch Black Lightning. So I have not seen last night's episode yet, so please don't spoil it for me. I'm very excited about it. I'm just finally glad it's back. I was missing my shows, man. Helder de Alameda writes, Veronica on Netflix, and did you... read DC Dark Metal? I did not read DC Dark Metal, and I don't know what you mean by Veronica on Netflix. Is that a show on Netflix? If so, I'm not familiar with it, to be honest with you. But no, I have not read DC Dark Metal, but I believe, if I'm thinking of the right thing, I believe a couple people I know have read it and said they liked it, but I'm not even 100% sure about that, to be honest with you. Manny Garcia writes, meant video game into movie. Okay, that's what I thought you meant. Look, it's any game can be made into a movie if you make a good movie. That's why I said, you can make a movie about this microphone and you can make it a good movie. If you get a great director with a great script and great writers and great performers, you can make a good movie about Felipe, the sentient dancing microphone. Off the top of my head, the one I really want to see is Last of Us. Last of Us is one that is a truly cinematic game, and very, very, very few games are truly cinematic games. Last of Us clearly is. I would be very down. If I had to pick one right now that I wanted to see, it would be a Last of Us movie for sure. Devontae Brown writes, want to clarify from yesterday. I like Split, just debate whether the superpowers was stupid and another bad M. Night twist if it's a standalone. But it wasn't a standalone. See, that's the thing, Devontae, where I have like conversations with buddies of mine, like the one you and I are having right now. It's, okay, yeah, but is Star Wars any good if you take the Jedi out of them? Like, if you take the whole thing about Jedis and lightsabers, is Star Wars still any good? And I go, but Jedi are a part of Star Wars. That is a part of Star Wars. You cannot look at it divorced from that. It's like people saying to me, yeah, but are the Cleveland Cavaliers actually any good without LeBron James? Like you say, are the Cleveland Cavaliers good? Yes, the Cleveland Cavaliers are a very, very good team. Yeah, but I mean, if you take LeBron off the team, they're not that good. But he is part of the team. He is part of the team. So there's no point in having that discussion. The thing of saying, looking at the twist in Split, this is how I would feel about it anyway. And I see where you're coming from, Devontae, and I'm sure you're not alone in looking at it this way. The thing about the twist is, it is a part of a movie that has Bruce Willis at the end and ties into that and will lead into Glass. That is part of its DNA. That is what it is. So you could then say, well, if it wasn't for that tie into Unbreakable, they wouldn't have done that twist at the end, right? So I'm always very dubious about trying to evaluate something, saying, yeah, but is it any good if you take this part out? But that part is a part of it. You can't try to say whether it's good or not without that one part. That part is what it is. It is a part of it. It's a part of the DNA. It's a part of the structure of it. So we could say, hey, maybe that twist about him being a literal monster doesn't play as well if it wasn't for the tie into Unbreakable. But then you'd have to have the conversation, well then, do they even do that twist without it? And is there even this movie without the tie into Unbreakable? Was the tie into Unbreakable an underlying thing about the whole movie the whole time? In which case the twist with the monster makes perfect sense. So I see what you're saying, Devontae. I'm just saying it's really tough to try to look at them as separate things when they are not separate things. They're one and the same. So that's just how I look at it. But it's a fascinating topic you bring up for sure. Hawker Walks writes, if you could have any director come back from the dead to make one more... sorry, let me finish reading the question. To make one more film, who would it be? Hitchcock. I would love... Hitchcock pushed every boundary, pushed every envelope. He was the riskiest, edgiest, gutsiest director of his era. To see what an Alfred Hitchcock would do today would probably put Quentin Tarantino to shame. So yeah, if I could pick one guy to come back and direct something, it would be Hitchcock for sure. Sarah O.D. writes, hi, I am from Brazil. Hey, if I knew Portuguese, I would say something in Portuguese. Do you like a movie from Brazil? I recommend City of God. I love City of God. City of God's a great movie. I don't know a lot of Brazilian cinema. I don't. But Brazilian of God, City of God is definitely one of them, and it's definitely a really good movie. And thank you so much, Sarah, for writing in. I appreciate that. And I'm a big fan of jujitsu. You know what's funny? I was just at the Black Panther premiere, and you know who my wife and I literally bumped into? Walking down the hall, coming out of the movie, and we were leaving, literally just gray shoulders with, turn around and we're like, oh my God, that's Anderson Silva. And we're, hey champ, and it's standing there with Anderson Silva. Anyway, so yeah, that's my Brazilian story. Paul writes, hey John, I love the Jason Bourne franchise. In my opinion, all Bourne girls are great, but I love Rachel Weisz's performance in Bourne Legacy. Movie is underrated. I also agree with that. I think the Bourne Legacy is also underrated. I feel kind of the same way about the Bourne Legacy as I do about Indiana Jones and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. See, I'm one of these guys that I think on its own Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is actually not a bad little adventure film. It's not great, but it's not a bad little adventure film. It's only when you put the label Indiana Jones on it that you realize it just doesn't live up. Now, with Bourne Legacy, I kind of felt the same way, only I liked it a little bit more. I thought it's a good movie. Bourne Legacy is a good movie. It's not really what we wanted from a Bourne movie, and they probably shouldn't have had the name Bourne on it. And they name drop Jason Bourne like every 5 minutes in the movie. That reminds me of Jason Bourne. That's the last time we saw Jason Bourne. That looks like a fish that Jason Bourne once ate. Like they name drop Jason Bourne so many times in the movie that you just missed having Jason Bourne in it more. But overall, I thought the movie was actually quite good. And I enjoyed it myself as well. Jessica Tennis writes, sorry, missed Jurassic World, also in the top 5. Again, not quite sure what it was you're asking about. Do me a favor, Jessica, email me. Email me at john@thejohncampeashow.com. Do me a favor. Email me, Jessica, john@thejohncampeashow.com. Just put your name, Jessica, in the subject line and explain to me what it was you were meaning by that question, because I wasn't interpreting you at all properly. Maybe it's just because I'm stupid, which is totally a possibility. Kellex writes, will you ever post your weekly show's schedules, where/how to email, i.e. 90 words, and your social media in the description so it's easy for fans to find? That's probably not a bad idea. It's probably something I should do. My weekly schedule is pretty simple. Monday through Friday, in the mornings, it's the John Campea Show. In the afternoons, it's open mic, and then it's just random editorials. And now, of course, Star Wars Talk is going to be on Sundays as well, but otherwise, it's just random editorials. But you're right, I probably should have that in the description. It's not a bad idea. I'll probably get on that. Thanks for the suggestion, Kellex. John K. writes, tell us. Nope. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. You will find out. It's coming out. This is something that they can't keep under wraps. Eventually, this is going to come out because it's something that's significantly... I'm not going to give away any hints, but you'll see. You'll find out. You'll see. Travis Smith writes, based on your review, I would have thought you would have called Warcraft the best video game movie. I had problems with it, but I would still call it the best for me. Where would you place it in video game movies? Pretty high. Pretty high. Look, the one thing that Warcraft did for me really, really well is kind of the same thing that, and you guys might have heard me say this before, what Lord of the Rings did for me with Middle-earth. When I first watched Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, the first Lord of the Rings film, I was so magically entranced with it because I felt like it took me into the Shire. This place I had been reading about and imagining all my life, ever since I was a little kid. I felt like it took me there. The one thing I will really say, and look, Warcraft has its faults. It really does. But the one thing I will really say for it that made me feel a little bit of that magic again was, as somebody who played an ungodly number of hours playing World of Warcraft, I felt like that movie took me to Azeroth. I felt like I was in Azeroth. The Azeroth on screen felt like the one I always imagined playing the game. And that was its strongest suit. So it would probably rank in the top 2 or 3 for me on that level. Leonardo Fonseca just sends in a super chat. Thank you so much, Leonardo. Eli the Creative writes, you're right, John. I hate Dragon Ball Evolution. And I hate Dragon Ball Evolution too. Kellex writes, you've done personal vlogs in the past and I've enjoyed it. Is it something you've considered doing more often, or is it too much work /editing /bother? Here's the thing. Yeah, I used to do like personal vlogs, but I don't know. I just get the feeling that people didn't want to hear about them. I mean, I think people who subscribe to my YouTube channel just want to hear me talk about movies and entertainment, not so much about, my personal life or whatever. If I thought that my audience was at all interested in it, yeah, I'd write about it. So do me a favor, guys. Email me or tweet me. If you want to see some personal vlogs on my channel, let me know and I'll do it. I just always got the feeling that people weren't all that interested in it. But hey, let me know. Let me know for sure. Good question, man. Rex Cousins writes, were you happy or sad about the DC news? Oh, that's what I was at the DC news. Felix Fernandez writes, hi, love your show. Do you have any info from the new show Krypton? I think you meant Krypton. No, I know nothing about it other than what you guys know, which is the trailers that we've seen, the footage that we've seen. Other than that, I really don't know anything about it. I'm curious to see how the show's going to turn out. I'm going to admit, though, I'm not excited about it, but I am curious about it. So let's see what happens. Devontae Brown writes, as a kid, I even liked The Happening. Well, hey, look, that's the subjectivity of film, man, right? LOL, explaining my hesitance towards giving Split a pass. But to counter myself, M. Night has had this idea for years. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think this is something he completely planned out. Again, that goes to the point where if it wasn't for the twist and if it wasn't for the Unbreakable tie-in, I don't think this movie even exists. So that's why I have a really hard time looking at them as two separate things. Kevin King writes, happy belated birthday. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the day off, and I will continue to encourage you to take at least one a week. Love you, sir. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much, Kevin. I appreciate that. I am contemplating taking one day off a week. I'm considering Saturdays. Because Sundays, I want to do my John Campea show, Weekend Edition. We got Box Office Report, and I can do a Star Wars show. But I am considering starting to take one day off a week. I've gone 6 months now, just working 7 days a week. I am, this weekend away in Vegas really did make me think, man, I do need to take at least a day off. So I'm thinking about it. I will keep you guys updated as to what's going to happen there. Blake Carson writes, where'd Blake go? What sort of merch designs are you looking for? Oh, I'm not sure. I mean, things like Bring on the Filthy, things like Winning Cures Everything, things like Greetings and Salutations, things like I'm John Campea by nature, I win. Things like, I don't know, like whatever things you guys, these are all just things people have said to me that they want. So I don't know. But again, that's why I need to take some time and give some thought to it and really figure it out. Griffin Campbell writes, hey, John, big fan of your show. Thank you so much, Griffin. Been dealing with a lot of depression lately. Man, I'm sorry to hear about that. That's never any fun. Your show is a big help. Thanks for doing what you do. And, Griffin, this is one of the reasons I love doing this show and why I love the film fan community so much, all of us together, is that we can give those momentary reprieves from all the crap going on in our lives sometimes. Just give us a breath. Maybe let us look at things from a different perspective. Maybe just smile a little bit and have a good time. That's why I love the film fan community. That's why I love being a part of the film fan community. That's why I've been part of the film fan community since 2003 when I started the movie blog. This June will mark my 15th anniversary of being an active part of the film fan community since I started my original website, The Movie Blog. It was in June of 2003 that I started. This year will mark my 15th anniversary. And people like you and all of us together is the reason why I love doing it. So I'm glad you're able to benefit from the film fan community that way. And I'm really honored that I can be a part of it as well. So good on you, man. Hang in there. There are brighter things ahead. So thanks for sharing that, Griffin. Haskell writes, hey, John, Medicine Man. That's the name of the Sean Connery movie. Thank you, Haskell. Hey, John, Medicine Man. Him and Lorraine Bracco. Have you ever seen The Fighting Sullivans? Saving Private Ryan was based off it in 1949, I think. Also, Rosalind Russell's Auntie Mame, My Mom and Eyes were our movies. No, I have not seen The Fighting Sullivans. I've had other people mention that film to me, but I have not seen it. But thank you. That was going to bug me until the end of the show. I'm sitting here doing this show, right? And I'm doing the show, and I'm talking, and I'm answering all these other questions. Sorry, the lights in here are making it really warm. I got something on my head. What is that on my head? Looks like a piece of ceiling stucco fell out. Okay, anyway. Hair Talk with John Campea. I've been doing the show, but in the back of my mind, it's been driving me crazy. Like, what was that damn movie with Sean Connery? Thank you, Haskell. I appreciate that. Han Solo writes, the DC news is about Michael Bay. Not if I'm right. No, not about Michael Bay. And you know what? I'll let you in on a little something. The Michael Bay thing is dead. Michael Bay won't be doing Lobo. So that's what I'm hearing. So anyway, Meister G writes, if you had to direct a Marvel movie, what would it, I don't know. I mean, if I had to direct one, like Kevin Feige put a gun to my head and made me direct a Marvel movie. I don't know, man. I mean, how do you not say an Avengers movie? So I'll go with an Avengers movie. Haskell writes, hey, John, if you like war movies and strategy, oh my God, write down Red Cliff. Oh no, Red Cliff's great. I've loved Red Cliff. I saw it before it ever debuted in North America. Anyway, I'll finish reading your comment here. It's on Netflix, but is the short version. The extended is off the charts. No, I've big fan of Red Cliff. If you have not seen Red Cliff, go to Netflix. I didn't even know it was on Netflix. Go to Netflix and check it out. It's super good. Like, just so good. Leandro Fonseca writes, what did you think about Michael Shannon's performance in The Shape of Water? Oh, I thought he was great. I didn't think it was his best performance, and we've seen that kind of character from him before, but he was very solid. I mean, across the board, the only film this year that I think had better across the board performances, like every single person in that movie was top notch. The only movie this year that I think did an even better job than Shape of Water was probably Three Billboards. Every cast member in that movie from start to finish just brings one of the performances of their lifetimes. But definitely the lead cast in Shape of Water is the next one down. It was so good. And Michael Shannon was one of those. Again, not the best Michael Shannon performance I've ever seen, but definitely up there. Okay, 2 questions left here, and then we're calling it a day. Veronica is a movie based on a true story on Netflix. Thank you, Helder, for letting me know that. I didn't know that. I've never even heard of it. Or maybe I have heard of it and I'm just forgetting it. But thank you for putting that on the radar, and thank you for clarifying that. And the final question today comes to us from Abraham Rules, who writes, any tech YouTubers you follow? MKBHD is awesome. I love MKBHD. I watch his reviews all the time. Why am I Brownlee? Is that his last name, Brownlee? Why am I forgetting his name? I only know him by MKBHD or DH, whatever. I watch all of his cell phone reviews. I watch a lot of. He's just a very, very good communicator. He's a very good communicator. And so yes, I watch him. I'm a big fan of the Twit network. I like The Tech Guy. I watch All About Android. I watch a number of the shows that they do at the Twit network. So yeah, there's a bunch of tech stuff that I watch. And usually when I'm at the gym in the morning, I bring my phone, put on my headphones, load up some tech YouTube channels, and just watch tech stuff. I mean, that's kind of my bag. Woo! All right, guys. Well, I did a little bit of a longer one today simply because, we had the false start a little bit earlier. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I had a really good time today. This has been great. Thank you so much for joining me today for the show. Listen, guys, don't forget, if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, click that subscribe button, become one of my subscribers. You can follow me on YouTube, or follow me on Twitter, I should say, simply at John Campea. And listen, do me a favor, guys. If you're not already, if you watch my shows, and I mean this seriously, head on over to www.patreon.com/John Campea and get all the information about what it means to be a Patreon supporter, why I have a Patreon, how being a Patreon supporter makes these shows possible and makes it possible for me to give jobs to guys like Jonathan and Ray and things like that, and how you make this show happen, and also what benefits there are to being a Patreon supporter. I have over 100,000 subscribers. If just 2% of the subscribers of this channel became Patreon supporters, I'd be able to move out of my spare bedroom as a studio and actually get a little bit of a studio space. I could have a guest in. It would be so great. But anyway, do me a favor, check it out, and maybe you'll want to become a Patreon supporter too. And if you don't, that's totally fine. I'm just happy and honored that you're here being a film fan with us. Thank you so much for that. All right, guys, that will do it for me. Thanks so much for joining me. My name's John Campea, and until my next video, bye-bye.